Working from home. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from Commercial Real Estate discussing, or an opinion piece about working from home. Now, as you can see, I work from home. I've got a little, well, this used to be actually a music studio that the previous owner built on the back of our Queenslander. So through here I've got the laundry and then out in the backyard, and you'll often hear the kids playing in the background. But we used to have offices. We used to have one. Well, I'll tell you the story. When we first started working, we were on Wellington Road in Brisbane, just across from Finlayson's, near the Pineapple Hotel and a nice big park. It was, well, 4 lanes of traffic. So it was perfect for us when we were students. We were close to the city. You know, it was close to work, just the two of us and some roommates. It was fantastic. So we decided to start up a business after we just got married. And we ended up starting it up at home. And we had 4 people working in the living room, and then we got more staff, so we expanded into the kitchen, dining room. We got rid of that and turned that into a 2-people office. And what we'd done is, to save money, we'd moved our bedroom into the entry nook. You know, when you come up often into a Queensland, and you can see through the floor in this little semi-enclosed sunroom, we turned that into a bedroom and rented out the master bedroom. So we had 4 people living there and 6 people working there in this little 2-bedroom house on Wellington Road. So we got our rent down pretty cheap. And once Rachel was working full-time for us, she couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle the work from home right at the beginning. So then we started looking for offices. We went to a warehouse, or a factory / warehouse in West End, in the trendy part of the city. And we were there for, a couple of years. And we were paying about 40 grand for rent. And we had, it was a nice space, but we were sharing with some industrial designers at the front, and they were terrible. Terrible landlords. And, just the attitude of some of the people there was horrific. So from there, we went to a little retail shop front down in West End. Then we had a little retail shop, cut our rent about in half. This is quite interesting. I went from about 40 grand a year rent to about 20 and a half year in rent. But because I went from a commercial lease to a retail lease, I had to get lawyers and accounting and all this bullshit to go through all the documentation because of the current affair effect, the Westfield effect. They didn't want mummy and daddy, investors or small business people getting done over. And that would have added like thousands of dollars of just needless busy work from professionals reviewing stuff that I could look at myself. It was quite frustrating. So we were there for a while, and then, we decided to scale back our staff and work slowed down a bit. So eventually we moved the office back home, and I, cleared it all out, and we've got a smaller business now, a bit lighter on our feet. The costs are much lower, and I'm really enjoying it, to be honest. My stress levels are much less. Now, I enjoyed going to the office, having that space, having it all set up nicely, with a nice fit out. And even the shop front was great. We had a party there with 100 people, and it was fantastic. You know what? I will actually show you some images. One sec. So I've got some images here that I'll show you. This is from our 5th birthday, and you can see this. We'd set it all up with all these little workstations. So we had standing desks here, and we eventually built some more units here, actually, because that wall was a bit white. We built all the furniture here, and this is the beginning of the event. It went all night. This was I think a module showing off our modular work. We had it ready for a party. One of our staff member and his girlfriend. We'd set up a whole display of different pictures there at the front. Just joinery. You can see, if you look behind me, you can see all of these repurposed shelves. Actually, I'm looking at it now. It looked much better. We'd actually built infilled here eventually too. So we just had all the setups. Yeah, and this was a great space used for functions and events. There you go. You can see how much weight I've lost. Keto diet all the way, guys. Keto diet all the way. And this is as the party was starting. We hired a DJ. We always hire a DJ for events. This is outside the front of the shop because we had, here was the shop here, and we had this little outdoor space here that we'd use for functions and events. We also hired a caterer, and he made these little burgers and things. It was fantastic. It was really good because, this was 5 years in business that we really wanted to celebrate. We hired a professional photographer, and, this is the outdoor space. So this is really useful. This is really useful. A little bonus space we didn't pay any rent for. And, we had security because you needed it in this neighborhood in Yeronga. Oh, look at that. A fly sitting on there. Are you kidding? I've only noticed this years later. Oh, well. There we go. And that's my father and Edward now. He's 5. Damn, Florian, you really whacked on the kilos, mate. You can see here, we've got people arriving. Wow, hang on. Whoa, -7. She's looking real young there. And you can see, we built all the joinery, we hand stained the timber, we laid the flooring ourselves, so we just had a nice, simple little office there. And, degree wall, and people start drinking, so we'll keep going. So you can see this was the space that we'd set up. A good friend of mine actually built the sign for me, gave me mates rates for it. It looked fantastic. But it's funny, the rent was half the price of what we paid. So we enjoyed having our offices and networking for people. And, always hire a good photographer, I'd recommend. Spend money on food and photography if you do an event. And as the night progressed, we had more and more people turning up. We did a little presentation. We had music, food, drink. I'm trying to see if he's got any shots of a whole lot of people there. The food was fantastic. It really was good. So, having a space like this allows you to run events, do networking, and that type of stuff. Come on, Florian, what were you doing? This shows you. One of the advantages of moving home is we don't have the commute. We don't have the commute anymore, so we're not getting the Maccas all the time. That was it. We'd both be working there. We'd have the kids there, and it just, our diet was terrible. It was terrible. So no, it was a great night, and we really enjoyed it. I'm just looking back there. Oh yeah, these burgers were fantastic, like fantastic. These little mini burgers that he made, I can still taste them now. That's the same thing as our wedding. We spent extra money on it too. There we go. Actually, Jared didn't work for us anymore. He came back as years later. Oh, boy. So, we had a range of people there. So that's kind of it, guys. Oh, boy. Yeah, well, look. Shit. And you wonder why I don't wear suits anymore? This is why. I don't fit into them anymore. I lost too much weight. Shit. And this is us celebrating 5 years. So we even have the garden bed, and people were drinking, and it's a party, guys. It's a party. That's how it is. So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love the commercial offices, but I also enjoy working from home. And I can see where that is going to be more and more popular. And the thing to consider is, what if, you saw that event I had there. There's no reason why I couldn't have hosted that at another venue or another function. And, I probably could have. I probably, next time I do something like that, I would look at just hiring a venue. I've done that before in the Brisbane Club for marketing events and those type of things. And it's a lot easier. It's less exhausting. You don't need to organize it all. But it is kind of fun having an event like that. So let's have a look at this opinion piece. Why our company decided to keep its office space despite being much more profitable working from home. So this is going to be interesting. What will happen? Why are they keeping it? Why are they keeping it? For culture, for communication, for events? The lights aren't on at Hard Hat's gleaming street front Pranan office, and everyone is working from home. The only life force remaining are the office plants. Yet prior to the lockdown, our team of 40 I hate this, we're creatives. Creatives isn't a noun. I don't care what you say. Like people say, I manage creatives. If you don't have, you need to have a real title. What are you? Graphics artists? Are you designers? What are you? Strategists? Makers? Oh, and account managers work side by side at a gigantic white desk that snakes through our entire office, seating everyone from interns to owners. I mean, that's the problem with this is it's bloody noisy. It's bloody noisy there. I mean, sure, they could probably acoustically treat it with that, but what if someone's having a conversation? Yeah. It's a desk custom built for collaboration, and teams work in project clusters, usually warming desks, for 12 to 18 weeks, making for an incredibly tight-knit team. Now our staff are scattered to the winds across Melbourne and its surroundings, connecting creatively by dropping into a Google Hangout or a Zoom meeting. However, by many relative measures, we are more successful and productive than ever. After the sudden and significant drop in March and April, profitability is up, revenue is climbing, and our client win rate is flourishing, and the caliber of work is excellent. We're even hiring. Well, there you go. As an independent agency, after our staff, our largest business expense is our office space. The question of whether we should sublet our office and continue to work remotely has become a hotly debated topic in our leadership group. At the start of the first lockdown in March, after the sudden and significant drop to our bottom line, and being faced with the crippling pressure of not wanting to cut staff, giving up our office still felt like an incredibly drastic action. What sort of creative agency doesn't have an office? And what about the 5-year lease extension we'd literally just signed? Now, in the midst of lockdown 2.0, and with no end in sight, the conversation has turned far more pragmatic. To take a narrow view, naturally, with our improved business performance, you'd have to ask as to whether it is necessary to continue spending $25,000 per month on an office space that acts merely as a glorified PO box. That's a true statement. Our office feels redundant, a relic from the past, even though just 6 months ago it was our beloved home base where our team came together to execute campaigns and platforms in a full-bodied creative swing. Now the overriding sentiment appears that no one is particularly fussed if we ever return to the office, despite our strong collaborative culture, indoor basketball court, and fully stocked whiskey bar. Indoor basketball court. Well, you're definitely pissing away money if you got that. Anyway, I shouldn't be one to judge. Although I do respect the fully stocked whiskey bar. Surveying our staff, the majority say they love working from home and avoid crowded commutes into office. It's the commutes that does it to you. There are a plethora of factors at play here, including health concerns, childcare, and work-life balance. By the same token, our clients don't seem to care whether we have a physical office or not. 6 months ago, I could never have imagined this would be the case. For all of us, working from home has become the new normal. What we fail to account for, however, is that it's not normal by choice, it's normal by government decree. I'm sorry to impart the news that the feelings we're experiencing about how fantastic it is a form of synthesized happiness. We're just as real as just as real as natural happiness. Synthesized happiness is what we create to keep ourselves moving even when we don't actually get what we want. For example, missing out on the promotion was exactly what I needed right then. So with a little bit of preemptive hindsight, it's not hard to imagine how I love working from my bedroom and only communicating with people through Zoom will fit this mold. He's got a good point. But I'd cut your office in half. I'd cut it in half and turn it to a function and war room space. So you could have like a hot war room session there when you had to get together and then go apart and come together. Make it intense. A new approach to office work and design. Things get really tricky with our synthesized happiness meets a behavioral quirk known as projection bias. Projection bias is what causes us to assume that our future selves will have the exact same set of tastes, preferences, and priorities that our current selves do. It is underpinned by subtly a powerful arrogance, causing us to see no reason why a future version of ourselves would be any different to the current one. This shortcoming is what Carnegie Mellon University psychologist George Lowenstein labeled the intrapersonal empathy gap. It's projection bias that has us thinking this will be forever. It's our intrapersonal empathy gap making us believe that we'll always be happy working like this, and that would be crazy to hang on to an oversized office, and that the only thing worth investing is more active wear. Sounds right? The rational, pragmatic measures stack up. The numbers are good. The widgets are getting made, the invoices are going out, the money is coming in. Unfortunately, our work, our lives, and our livelihood are more than just a set of rational, pragmatic numbers. There are no hard metrics to measure how connected our team feels to one another or the agency as a whole. There are no numbers that highlight how many great ideas, informed by a throwaway comment in the office kitchen, never happen. There's no data to show how many development opportunities juniors missed because they're not within earshot of experienced leaders and mentors. At the moment, the norm is to work from home. Ultimately, though, this crisis will pass. The restrictions will lift. The choice of where to work will return. And there's no doubt in my mind that when it does, we'll be back to the office as norm in no time. No matter how democratic or non-hierarchical we perceive our workplace to be, there will always be people we look up to, respect, admire, and report into. Report into? Should be report to? Well, what's going on at your office there, mate? Once a leader, official or otherwise, decides to spend time back in the office, they will inevitably draw followers back in too. The same goes for clients, and the signals their return to the office sends to their agency partners, whether intentional or not. It's natural, especially for the ambitious among us, to value proximity to power. This closeness creates visibility and salience, which in the corporate world tends to accompany opportunities and recognition. A lot of people don't realize that. But pragmatically, we can pitch for new business via Zoom, but I pity the agency that thinks it'll be just as compelling in 2D. Every person that heads back in, even just for a day or two, nudges our social norms back in the direction of office as default. It's inevitable that before long, a critical mass will be back to daily commuting, even if the hours are slightly staggered and the flexible working programs get a little bit more flexible. The unavoidable consequence of this will be the regulation of those still zooming in their sweatpants to an outlying, self-selected, inherently disadvantaged minority. So for now, I'm at peace with begrudgingly holding on to an expensive empty office for the next 6 months or longer, knowing that at some point very soon, do you think? You're in Victoria. We'll be back in there. We'll be delighted that we did. While Zoom is a fantastic upgrade to the phone call, it's never going to be a suitable downgrade to an in-person meeting. And Dan Monhart is the co-founder of Hardhat and an expert in behavioral science. So there we have it, guys. What do you all think? It'll be interesting to see. I can completely appreciate and understand his case. But then again, I like saving money. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Are you working from home? How are you finding it? Do you think your business will head back to an office? As always, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you're a fan of the channel and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.